Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry, and today I'd like to talk to you about another film. And that film, shout out to Mark Wahlberg with his announcement of his potentially to be retiring, possibly. So I want to talk about the underrated film that he starred along with Joaquin Phoenix. We Own the Night, starring both Mark Wahlberg and Joaquin Phoenix, Eva Mendes, and Robert Duvall. Set during the late 1980s, focuses on two brothers, one of them who owns a nightclub. The other one is part of it was like the Boston police. Their worlds collide after a drug bust at the nightclub, and sooner or later, Joaquin Phoenix must choose between running along with the Russian mob or joining with his fellow Bloods to take down the big crime faculties that are running around in New York City. I think it's in New York City. Is it New York City? No, it's in Brooklyn. Brooklyn. Like a Brooklyn. I've never been to Brooklyn. Now, this film, when I first saw this film, the trailer, I honestly thought it was a sequel to The Departed. After rumors of The Departed, of the sequel, was coming out, I thought this was that. I thought this was a sequel to The Departed, which is not. It's its own entirely different original movie. It has nothing to do with The Departed. This is a film directed by James Gray. And this is the first film I think I've watched his, and then I start to kind of look into more of his work, and I think he might be one of my favorite filmmakers, top 10. And this film is great. This is a great crime thriller. And in why I believe it's great and it's underrated, I mean, it runs along some of the little cliches of the typical crime dramas. You have a lot of cursing, you have a lot of cops versus robbers, etc. But this here, down to its core, centers on two brothers who've tried to put aside their differences and to really rediscover the importance of what it means to love each other as a family, to respect one another, and to not forgetting where your roots are. And this movie's more along with Joaquin Phoenix's. He's really the lead, Joaquin Phoenix. He plays a club owner. I think is Bobby Green, who's tries to not be a part of his, I guess, family heirloom, or running to be not wanting to be a part of the, I guess, family tradition of being cops. So he takes a different route and decides to be a nightclub owner in Brooklyn. But unknown to him, which I think he does kind of suspect it, but tries not to get too involved, that there's been some Russian mobs hanging around in his crib, and I think they kind of get the impression, or assume the impression, that he was a notorious drug dealer of his own. So it was kind of unique how that kind of just set up, where they kind of just assume right off the bat that that person's dirty, this person's dirty, so I can go out and talk to him, hang out with him. So that was actually kind of unique, that they kind of just assume they're all cool. And then there's a moment in the film where something happens, and it causes Mark Wahlberg's character to kind of, I guess, get sidelined a bit, which I was actually surprised when I saw the film. I thought, I'm more of a Mark Wahlberg fan than Joaquin Phoenix, but after years of seeing more of Joaquin Phoenix's work, this guy is good. Yeah, really good. And I'm actually surprised. Like, there's a chunk of the movie where Mark Wahlberg gets sidelined quite a bit, kind of like in the in the middle, like second act, to like introduce into the third act, and he doesn't really do much towards the third act. This is more, like I said, Joaquin Phoenix's film. And Ava Mendes, she was great in here. She plays, you know, a supporting girlfriend of Joaquin Phoenix's, but eventually their relationship kind of deteriorates when he gets brought upon into this world of choosing sides of, is he going to be with his family or is he going to join in with the criminals that are running with the club. So she gets kind of caught in, and she has a beef with cops. But when her life is in danger, unfortunately, she has to side along with the cops, with the fact that she still does not like the idea. There are a couple of sequences in here that I really loved. One of my favorite shootout scenes in here was the drug infiltration scene where Bobby Green, when he finally decides to help out his father and the Brooklyn PD, he finally joins in to, I guess, go to the drug deal. Cocaine, sniffing, whatever. And he is nervous as hell. He doesn't know how this is going to turn out, and you could really feel the anxiety and the suspense that kind of lingers into the scene. And he's like, man, he sniffs that like, where you get the stuff from, and the bad guy notices that Joaquin Phoenix is nervous, and he goes up to him and is like, why are you nervous? Is it that stuff? He's like, man, man, it's fly as a feather with that crap, man. I'm feeling so there's a word he has to say, like light as a feather. And that by saying that, he was supposed to alarm the police that are following him to that location. And it kind of gets to the point where they don't hear him very well, and it kind of gets like, is he gonna get find out? Or he's gonna get find out. He's screwed. Like, are the cops gonna save him? And then right when that moment where the bad guy finds out, he quickly Joaquin Phoenix quickly stabs another guy, and then he brings him down. Then the police finally comes in and they start shooting up the place. And then Joaquin jumps out the window, which was actually crazy. He jumps out the window, lands on uh, this gate, and which breaks his back, and it's like, man, that was painful. And one of my favorite scenes in there was the car chase scene, where it's actually the majority of the sequence of that sequence takes place within inside the car. You see Joaquin Phoenix's fear, his reaction, and also Eva Mendes' reaction, and then you see uh, the bad guy's car shooting at them, and then he's also trying to shoot at Robert Duvall's character. Robert Duvall's trying to ram that car off and take him down. But unfortunately, that fails and knocks Robert Duvall's character out of the park. That was a very intense scene. I've probably one of my favorite and most intense car chase scenes I've ever seen in any film. This film is severely underrated. This is actually probably my favorite James Gray film. He's also directed The Lost City of Z, and then he also directed the Ad Astra, which both of those other movies are underrated. This guy is actually a very underrated filmmaker. This film was actually very good. I love the opening sequence where it shows images and pictures of police officers during the, I guess, the 1980s. I think the film takes place exactly the year 1988, where I guess they have this secret task force labeled as "We Own the Night," and they would come in and raid drug dealers at night. I think that's just a term used, which I don't think that's used anymore. It's 40 years old, no. But of all else, this movie was great. This was a fantastic thriller. I highly recommend it. I think it might be on Tubi. Check it out if it is. I highly recommend you got to see this film. Please comment below. Let me know what you thought about it if you have seen it. And let me know what's your favorite Mark Wahlberg film. I'm actually kind of, which I understand, he recently just had this movie come out called Fatherstu. I haven't had the chance to check it out yet, but since in articles he's mentioned that he might consider retiring, I get it. That I understand that acting and going to places far away from your family and friends for weeks to months can take a toll on a lot of people. And well, I can understand. I can understand that that's a big unfortunate factor when it comes to, I guess, working in the entertainment industry. But if he does retire, I wish him luck and well, because he's made a great impact on cinema, and I can tell you, this is one you have to check out. Please comment below and let me know, what is your favorite Mark Wahlberg film, and what is your favorite underrated movie?